Greetings, everyone. Welcome to 2024 and the first sports show of the semester. My name is Caleb Steindel, and this is your Nittany Watch Sports Report. I hope you all had a wonderful break, and it's time to dive back into the world of PSH sports and see what's going on around campus. Now, it's early in the semester, which means that basketball is top dog right now. The men's team is on fire as of late with a 16-3 overall record and a 6-0 conference record, good for first place in the Volt Division of the United East Conference. They're undefeated at home, and they've won 5 straight. Now, the Lions have yet to lose in 2024, and they're averaging an impressive 76 points per game so far this season. The terrific trio of Nittany Baylor-Carroll, Nate Curry, and Alex Liba has spearheaded this early season success. Senior guard Baylor-Carroll leads the team in plenty of key statistical categories, including points per game with 18.3, assists per game with 4.5, and steals per game with 3.3. He also recently set the all-time program scoring record during a win over Penn State Berks on January 6th. Senior guard Nate Curry leads the team with 8.9 rebounds per game and a 40.7% mark from beyond the arc. He's also second on the team in points. And senior guard Alex Liba leads the team with 1.6 blocks per game and a 61.8 field goal percentage. Now, on to women's basketball. And while the season hasn't been quite as explosive for the Lady Lions, they're still off to a strong start with a 5-1 conference record, which has them tied for first in the Volt Division. They're 8-11 overall, but they have won 4 of their last 6, and they've righted the ship after struggling to a 4-9 start out of the gate. Senior guard Jayla Galbraith continues her impressive career, and she's second on the team in points and first in three-point percentage, with a 37.2% rate. Junior guard Gianni Correa leads the team in field goal percentage and points, putting up an impressive 17 per game. Junior forward Allie Lister has been impressive under the hoop with 5.6 rebounds per game, best on the team. The next basketball games come on Wednesday, January 24th for Penn State Harrisburg, when both the men and women host Penn College. On Saturday, January 27th, they'll both travel to Penn State Berks for another doubleheader. On Saturday, January 20th, both the men's and women's teams hit the court of the Capital Union building for a special doubleheader, one that transcends the sport of basketball itself. According to their website, the Orange for Owen Foundation, which began in 2012, seeks to bring awareness to the dangers of distracted driving. The foundation honors Owen Cole Brzezinski, who was hit and killed at a crosswalk by a distracted driver on her phone in 2011 outside Bishop McDevitt High School. Penn State Harrisburg's annual Orange for Owen doubleheader at the Cub promotes the foundation through giveaways, bright orange hoodies, and collecting safe driving pledges. Both games ended in wins for PSH, and I had a chance to talk to players and coaches alike about the results and what made those games so special. It was a big day at the Capital Union building on Saturday, January 20th, as both the men's and women's squads from Penn State Harrisburg knocked off Lancaster Bible College in a special event doubleheader. It was a special day because it was the annual Orange for Owen Day on campus, a doubleheader honoring the life of 8-year-old Owen Cole Brzezinski, who was killed by a distracted driver at age 8. Players, coaches, and fans alike supported the classic orange hoodies aimed at raising awareness about the dangers of distracted driving, and both basketball teams took care of business at home in what was an overall successful day. The men's team started off strong with an 80-72 victory that Coach Don Friday attributed to early aggression and a fast pace.
Big thing for us was handling their tempo with the press and making sure that we were aggressive in attacking it, but at the same time we weren't running out of gas ourselves or taking quick shots. I thought in the second half, we got a combination of some easy baskets, we got some quick baskets, but we also got some attempts to score where we got the ball downhill either in the post or we drove it and we got some payoff on that.
Of course, Lancaster Bible was always a tough team to go against, and they're our biggest rival in the last 5 years. So the mindset was one play at a time and also come out attacking.
Star senior guard Nittany Baylor-Carroll put up 30 points, and Nate Curry put together a double-double as the usual Batman and Robin duo led the way once again.
Honestly, I've been struggling a little bit in league, so today it felt good to finally get it going a little bit, and I don't know, I feel just staying confident. My teammates definitely helped pick me up. when I'm struggling a lot. So my mindset was take it one play at a time and try to do well.
You know, when your best players are also your best people, and they work hard, really good things happen.
The second game of the doubleheader saw the Lady Lions improve to 5-1 in the conference with a dominating 82-57 victory over Lancaster Bible College. Penn State Harrisburg racked up 21 assists and 21 points off turnovers in the game, and Coach Patrick Ross attributed the win to excellent teamwork and a lockdown defensive effort.
And I think we came out and did a really good job of sharing the ball tonight. We had a ton of assists, we shared the ball, we trusted each other, and collectively played strong defense.
Senior guard Jayla Galbraith was absolutely on fire all day long, hitting 7 of 15 from beyond the arc. She emphasized that she never forces anything, and her success was due to letting the game come to her.
Because I'm not going to just shoot the ball to shoot the ball. Like, it depends on how the flow of the game is going. But, yeah, I mean, before the game, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is a great game today.
She's very others-oriented. She's not about herself. And so the opportunities that come her way are created because of her unselfishness.
Despite a pair of victories, both squads recognized that the day was about so much more than basketball. Coaches and players alike remarked on the importance of driving without distraction, Owen's legacy, and how much the lives of he and his family members transcend the sport.
We talked to the father of Owen before our during our practice yesterday, and seeing his emotion and just like how it still impacts somebody till this day that has to deal with that, you can feel it too.
Just to see the emotional response from our team, we realized that this game, it's just a game. And life is everything that goes on outside of the four corners of the basketball court. And so basketball just gives us the opportunity to have a commonality and come through and support each other. And so when you're able to walk through adversity, which is going to constantly show up, the way we do that collectively as a team, and I think this team specifically, is just so special to watch how they support each other, believe in each other, and love being around each other.
Just the message of just staying safe, not being distracted on your phone, and it was important because, like they said, their son would have been our age, and I think it meant something for all of us on the team, and that we took it and we wanted to play hard. Definitely for them, and also just keep that in the back of the mind that you got to take every day and cherish it like it should last.
You know, I think for us to win this game today and understand why we won, like what we were playing this game for, as I said to our team afterwards with the Brzezinskis, we're wearing these orange shirts and we have these socks on, right? And tomorrow we'll take these off and we'll be kind of back in our own little world in a way. But for Mark and Karen Brzezinski and their daughters, they live that every day. And they're so graceful and they're so courageous and brave in the way they've handled this adversity. So, you know, at Penn State University Harrisburg, we're honored and feel really blessed to be able to give something back to help the Brzezinskis with healing, and to also make sure that that never happens to somebody we know, or that we never are involved in something that could create a tragic outcome by distracted driving.
Congratulations to both teams on their victories. What a memorable day, filled with success both on and off the court. Now, track and field is the other sport that has kicked off its 2024 season so far. Both men's and women's indoor teams competed at the Alvernia Winter Invite on Saturday, January 20th. For the ladies, senior Steph Ryder broke the all-time program record in the weight throw with a 13.89-meter toss. Senior Leah Gray continued her dominance with a 7.99-second finish in the 60-meter, good enough for second place on the day. On the men's side, senior Comlin Greg Akaliste set a new PR and notched a second-place finish in the weight throw with a 14.52-meter toss. The 4x200-meter relay team also won on the men's side. Both men's and women's teams will compete next at the Franklin and Marshall for the Mini Dip Invitational on Saturday, January 27th. As intercollegiate sports have been getting into gear, intramurals are also in full swing. Our intramural sports reporter Mitchell Carson has the season recap on intramural water volleyball.
As the spring semester began at Penn State Harrisburg, intramurals kicked off their spring season. The season's opener was water volleyball. Water volleyball had a total of 2 teams, making it a one-night-only match. The teams, Penguins and Waterlogged, played best of 3. In the first 2 matches, the teams played up to 25 points. In the first match, Waterlogged scored 25 points, and Penguins scored 25 points in the second match. In the third match, instead of breaking the tie, the teams decided to tie the game at 13 points apiece, making the teams co-champions for the intramural water volleyball season.
About the volleyball, water volleyball being only one day, it was actually a really fun event. It's just a shame that not a lot of people came out, but we really do wish a lot of people could have come. Me and Nick, we ended up playing 3 games. It ended up being a tie, but we just had a fun time. It was a great night. We were able to play multiple games all together. We had 2 teams, but I really do hope for upcoming seasons a lot more teams can come, and it could go back to that league-long experience it once was.
Yeah, we had really a lot of fun. Me and my team, we were just having fun out there, didn't care. Look forward to next year.
Mitchell Carson, Penn State Harrisburg, Student Media.
Thanks, Mitchell. What a fun competition and wonderful sportsmanship from both squads. Now, beyond Penn State Harrisburg sports, it's an important time in the professional world as well. The NFL playoffs are in full swing, and we're down to 4 teams remaining. In the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens beat the Houston Texans in the divisional round, and they will host the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, a team that knocked off both the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs this year. In the NFC, the San Francisco 49ers handled the Green Bay Packers in the divisional round, and they will host the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. The Lions have made the NFC Championship for the first time in over 30 years. Stay tuned. In the next Nittany Watch episode, we'll hit the streets and get some Super Bowl predictions from PSH students and faculty. When we come back, we'll welcome Sports Information Director Tom Klemick into the studio to take a look at the upcoming sports season on campus. This is the Nittany Watch Sports Show.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Welcome back, everyone. I am now joined in studio for the second time by the man who truly needs no introduction. He is the magical, mystical being that floats through the walls of Penn State Harrisburg, documenting every single bit of sports information that could possibly exist. You can find him at the Capitol Union Building, out on the baseball diamond, or anywhere sporting events are taking place. Ladies and gentlemen, Sports Information Director Tom Klemick. Tom, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for that incredible introduction. That was amazing.
You know, I try to make it interesting. So last semester we had you on, which, by the way, if you haven't done that yet, go check out the Nittany Watch YouTube page and check out that interview. But for those of us who might be new, or for our new viewers, can you tell people a little bit about what you do on a daily basis as Sports Information Director?
Absolutely. So that introduction notwithstanding, some of the other things I have to do, run the athletic website. I'm at pretty much every sporting event, as you said, either statting or taking photos, setting up live streams, running all the social media accounts. The best way I describe it normally is anything that the Marketing and Communications Office does here at Penn State Harrisburg for the academic side and the rest of campus is kind of what I'm in charge of for all of our 17 now athletic programs.
Nice. That's awesome. Now, since we last talked, we did have a pretty big event that happened involving some prominent PSH athletes. So earlier this month was the 2024 NCAA convention in Phoenix. So tell me about that and who represented us in Arizona.
Yeah, absolutely. So every single year the NCAA has a convention, Division I, Division II, Division III. 2 years ago it was in San Antonio. It's usually in Indianapolis where they're headquartered. This year it was in Phoenix. And our athletic director, Rashawn Carlton, he's in attendance every single year. Our assistant athletic director, Scott Duncan, he's in attendance every single year. And this year we had a pair of athletes who were prominently featured, as you said. So Josh Africa, who had just graduated, I believe in December. He is a former golfer, United East Golfer of the Year, one of the best golfers we've ever had here. He also jumped on as part of our conference, the United East, as part of their Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and he was actually a representative for the entire NCAA Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So he's been in some big prominent meetings, and he was a part of a panel on name, image, and likeness. So you hear a lot about this in NCAA Division I, football, basketball in particular, about how you can license your name, your image, into things like sponsorships and money, instead of just the traditional scholarships that you've seen. And Josh, He's been doing that, especially last season. He did a lot of that. So he was one of 5 athletes, the only Division III athlete who was up on that stage for an hour-long panel, and his personality shined through. He was fantastic. Yeah. And then later that same day, Candace Butler, who is our most decorated women's basketball player in program history. Honestly, one of the most decorated athletes we've ever had here. She was a finalist, top 30 finalist for the NCAA Woman of the Year Award, which honors some incredible women who have taken part in, obviously, athletics, but they're recognized for their academics, they're recognized for their community service. And she was up there on the stage being recognized alongside WNBA players, national champions, Olympians, players from Harvard and players from Michigan, South Carolina, these big-time schools. And she absolutely deserved it. And Rashawn sent me a text earlier that day. He's like, we got all these people out here. Penn State Harrisburg, we're taking over the convention. I said, hey, you should put sponsored by Penn State Harrisburg underneath. So it was well-deserved recognition for Candace, one of the highest honors anyone in this school has ever gotten, and Josh represented us well. It was a blast.
That's awesome. Yeah, what a cool opportunity, especially for Division III athletes to be there among all these, professional players. That's really neat. Now, this time of year it's a very robust time of year for sports in the spring season. We got basketball, baseball, track and field, softball, tennis. What is Tom Klemick's favorite sport to watch this semester in the spring season?
Right now, well, geez, gotta be diplomatic.
Spot for this one, yeah, sure.
I think I said last time too. The way I frame it is on a beautiful 75-degree day in late April. I love being outside for a couple hours watching. Our baseball team has been very, very good the last couple of years and nationally ranked. We've had All-Americans. They hosted an NCAA regional last year, beat the #1 team in the nation last year. So I think the combination of, and I also was an assistant coach for head coach Ryan Bound 10 years ago. I'm starting to feel old when I say it like that. But knowing that program, knowing Ryan, like I said, when the weather is nice, I like to be outside. But I'll tell you what, right now, you go to the Capitol Union building to watch some of the basketball that's being played. That's electric as well. So yeah, baseball, softball on a beautiful day outside. I will take that. In early March when it's about 40 degrees and windy, I'm just praying for indoor sports. But yeah, we'll say late April, I'll go with baseball, softball.
That's a really good answer. And I've been out there and I know exactly what you're talking about. I want to talk a little bit about the balance between academics and athletics. So this is a really neat time right now because we're experiencing a lot of records being broken, program records, personal records. Candace broke the program points record, Danye Baylor-Carroll this year. How does one balance, especially for you as a sports information director, how do you feel like one balances that athletic success on the court, on the field, with the need for academic success, and why is that such an important part of these student athletes' lives?
Yeah, I think the big thing is in Division III, not just us at Penn State Harrisburg, but the NCAA promotes it as well, that in Division III, you're not getting athletic scholarships. It's the only level where you don't get a strict athletic scholarship. That doesn't mean you don't get financial aid. That doesn't mean that you don't get scholarships for your extracurriculars and for your success, as you said, in terms of classroom work. Also, if you're a well-rounded student coming out of high school, they see, hey, you play sports, that kind of stuff. So I don't want to sit here and say like you're at a disadvantage, but the Division III model is supposed to be that you're doing it for the love of the game. What that entails, though, is a lot of time practicing. You make the same kind of sacrifices, and you do it, as we're saying, without the maybe hoopla that you get, if you're at a Penn State football player, at that kind of level. But I think kind of the question you asked me before is kind of the perfect example is why something like academics and community service, being involved in your campus is so important. Somebody like Candace is the shining example, honestly. She's worked in the sports information office since her freshman year in 2019. I've been lucky enough to have a fantastic relationship with her over the past 5 years. To see what she's done on the basketball court is amazing. She, as you said, broke the scoring record, holds every offensive record we have. She was a nominee, a top 10 finalist the Jostens Trophy last year, which is the National Player of the Year. And as we said, top 30 finalists for NCAA Woman of the Year. Those kinds of accolades, that kind of recognition, and the kind of respect that I see she now commands from our athletic department, from professors. She was a communications major, like myself, like a lot of you guys. To see the effort that she put in also in the classroom. I think she graduated with 3.97 GPA. To be involved, she was our Student Athlete Leadership Council president last year. She's involved in community service projects, doing all these types of things. I was so proud when these other type of accolades came out, not just the record breaking on the basketball court, NCAA Woman of the Year, Jostens Trophy finalist, because she made herself a well-rounded student here. And I think it shows the kind of impact that you can have off your field of play, because no offense to anyone else who's breaking records or anyone who's having fantastic seasons, that kind of stuff is the expectation, I think, for a lot of athletes who are committed to their sport. To see what athletes like Candace have done outside of that, I couldn't be more proud. And it just goes to show you what you can do if you make that commitment.
That's really awesome. And speaking of things off of the court, off of the field as well, talked about this, and a lot of our viewers have now seen this, but I'll talk a little bit about community engagement and that sort of involvement. Now, recently we had the Orange for Owen basketball games, which now our viewers are familiar with that, and there was a couple of wins on that day. It was a really awesome event. But talk to me a little bit about how community engagement plays a role within sports and why that's such an important part of it.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of symbiotic relationship. It's, hey, we're putting out our best effort on the court, on the field. The fans that we have, you know, they come and they support us, and our teams want to give back if they can. You mentioned Orange for Owen. These games have been going on now for a decade. I think the first one was in 2014. This was the 10th year anniversary. I know Coach Friday, Coach Patrick for men's and women's basketball have been very involved with Mark Brzezinski and his family. And you know, unfortunately, there was a tragedy. They lost their son, Owen, to a distracted driver, and they made a commitment years and years ago to try to teach young people, obviously college-age people, especially now in the age of social media, texting, cell phones are everywhere, to try to take a pledge to end distracted driving. And we've had a fantastic relationship. And I know you were at the games on Saturday. We had one of the best crowds we've had all season. Place was packed, played our rivals in Lancaster Bible, and it was electric. And I think it's just one example of what our athletic programs have done. We've also had games in our volleyball team, had an Alzheimer's awareness game this year that was basically spearheaded by Carolina Hernandez, who was a player. That was a fantastic event. And as I mentioned, I help out with our Student Athlete Leadership Council, and our group does a lot of different things. Right before Christmas, we kind of adopted a family through the YMCA and provided blankets and toys to a young family. I think it was a single mother. Last year, our group helped furnish a house for a Ukrainian refugee family when, unfortunately, all that stuff was happening between Russia and Ukraine. They've been doing for a couple of years a Read Across America event every single spring where they go to local elementary schools in Middletown and Hummelstown. And just to see the impact that our student athletes are making. And as I said, it's maybe, you know, when you get Saquon Barkley or somebody like that showing up at a school and there's a bunch of hoopla and stuff like that. But when it's our students who go and do it because they appreciate our community, they appreciate our support. And you see, even those elementary school kids last year, when our 30 athletes walked in and they're running up to them, talking to them, they're sitting at the lunch tables with them. You can see the impact they make. And it's part of what we want to do here at Penn State Harrisburg. We want to be involved in the community. We want to show that we support our fans the way that they support us. And we've had a fantastic group of student athletes and coaches leading that charge over the years.
Yeah, that's awesome. You touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to ask a question about culture. You sort of mentioned, you know, like I said, was there at those games. We saw how packed the Orange for Owen games were. But talk to me about, as someone who is right in the thick of this, talk to me about how you would describe Penn State Harrisburg athletics culture.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing about it is that you have to remember, athletics only really returned to Penn State Harrisburg and in a 4-year capacity in 2005. So we've only had athletics, it's not even 20 years yet. I was a student here back in 2006. When I got to campus, it was basically a fledgling upstart type program. Didn't have full-time coaches, didn't even have as many athletic programs as we have now. And in a 20-year span, it's been built into a program that's won a national championship in track and field. I think I've mentioned his name before, Brett Williams, who was a baseball player here, who was a contender for National Player of the Year every single year he was here. We were just talking about Candace and what she's done. You're talking about Danye and Nate Curry for men's basketball, the things they've done. It's really been incredible to see the growth, how quickly it's happened. And while that's been going on, we've been lucky enough to put good people in place. As I said, Rashawn Carlton, Scott Duncan kind of leading that charge, Kerry Zelko, everyone in the administration who's leading that charge, these coaches who have come in, and once we were able to get them in here full time, starting about 10 years ago, we've really seen that jump, and it's trickled down from the top. We've been lucky enough to have some fantastic students who early on, they kind of had to bear the brunt of, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna take your lumps, we want you to do things the right way, it's difficult. And now in the last, especially 5 years, we've seen so much success. It's carried down, and I think the recruiting has we've started the ball rolling, and to see where we've gotten to with some really special young student athletes, it's the kind of thing I tell people. I was a student here in 2006. To see where we are now, not just as an athletic department, but as a campus at Penn State Harrisburg, it's really amazing, and a lot of that comes from those 300 student athletes over there.
My last question for you, I've asked this the last time I had you on, but For people that are watching, who are maybe not the biggest sports fans, or maybe who are sports fans but haven't gotten around to see games, athletic events, what is your pitch for why people need to come out and see a Penn State Harrisburg game or a sporting event this year?
I think the easiest answer is that if you're not there to see what our athletic teams are doing, you're missing out. A lot goes on in this campus, and I know our students take their academics seriously, and I know there's a lot of involvement in other things. We hit on it a little bit in this conversation. Some of the best players in the nation are playing right here at Penn State Harrisburg. And I know we don't have, massive signs, and we're working on rebuilding that stadium. It's going to look flashy next year, that's for sure. But it's kind of like one of the best kept secrets on our campus. We have players who are All-America level. We have teams that are winning conference championships and competing, I mentioned baseball, on the national level, that are going out there, playing in NCAA tournaments, knocking off nationally ranked teams on a consistent basis. We're building something very special. And I would say on a personal level, if you're a student, come to the Capitol Union building. You watch a game where Donnie Baylor-Carroll or Nate Curry are going off for men's basketball, and as you said, when you got a crowd of 600, 700 people, and it's loud in there, it's an electric atmosphere, and I think it's just something that you're going to enjoy, and once you get there once, you're going to want to be there every single time. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, as the snow melts out here, we get into the spring, we get some good weather, you come outside, you could do a lot worse than spend an hour or two out watching our baseball and softball teams mash the ball over the fence. So yeah, if you didn't know about it, I'm letting you know now. You're not going to regret it, and I promise you'll be back for more.
That's awesome. You heard it here first. Come out and see a game this semester. You might see me there. You might see Tom there.
Come say hi.
Yeah, come stop by.
This guy's the best dressed guy on campus. Come shake his hand.
Well, I appreciate that, Tom. Tom, thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for athletics on the campus here. I really look forward to seeing you around campus at games this semester. And that is going to wrap up our first episode of the Nittany Watch Sports Show for the year. To keep up with Penn State Harrisburg sports all year round, you can visit the school athletic page at www.athletics.hbg.psu.edu and follow the Penn State Harrisburg Athletics page on social media. You can keep up to date with sports on the Blue and White Journal website at pshblueandwhitejournal.com. And don't forget to check out the other episodes of Nittany Watch and the Nittany Watch Sports Show on the Nittany Watch YouTube page. Big thanks to Tom, Klemek, and the entire Nittany Watch crew for making this happen, and we'll see you next time.